many years ago made this incredible tools, clearing loops for children to actually unleash their capacities in mathematics, writing, reading, taking tests, if she would be willing to actually do a telecall on that. And so she said yes.
Of course I did.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And Yaso is an XMen facilitator, correct, Yaso?
Yes.
And so she and we go back to, I don't know, 5 to 6 years ago. We worked together with the Access Possibility School. And so I've gotten to see the talents and abilities that Yaso has with teaching and with kids and with her XMen capacities and teaching others about their XMen capacities.
Amazing.
Because, you know, there's so many kids and adults, not just kids that are in school, but adults that feel so wrong because they think they can't do something, like they can't read properly. It really doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much stress around all that, like, you know, studying, reading, writing, just everything that you're supposed to do in school. I remember, you know, in school, like, even though my parents weren't pressuring me, I put a lot of pressure upon myself to do better, you know, constantly like pushing, or like you see like kids that are really smart and bright, they get like really great grades, and then you get competitive. It's like, how come I can't be as great as them, but they're so amazing and smart, you know what I mean? So like, can you talk a little bit about the judgment part of our, you know, psychology, or, you know, like the way we kind of like limit ourselves, and it's so toxic, not only us, but to little children as well as bigger children.
Yeah, and also
adults.
Teachers, also teachers and parents, because I've been a teacher also in regular school for quite a bit. And one of the things that I started looking at when I started doing Access was like, wow, how many expectations and like all kind of things do I have in my world actually to be a good teacher? How many of my students need to succeed for me? And so when I started looking at that, I was like, wow, that's a pretty sick pattern. It's not wrong, but it's like it's a little strange when you have all these expectations and people need to do all kind of things so you can succeed. How much freedom is there? And how much creation is possible? And so once I started to look at that, I was like, what do I actually want to create also with teaching? Do I want to create actually a field where everybody can explore more what they're capable of, or am I actually going to keep playing in the field of rightness? And so the more I went into that exploration of like, so if it's about an exploration of more capacities, how can I include also all that world that's filled with a lot of rightness? And so it became this game actually to see like, hey, like what if school is actually a game which has like rules, regulations, and you were not against and you were not for, what could you create with it?
My God, why didn't you exist like 30, 40 years ago?
I probably did, but then I was like, I don't know, a nurse or something. Okay.
I wished you came to my school and taught my principals and teachers and introduced a whole new way of learning and being around, you know, school life.
Yeah, it was incredible for me to see if you started focusing on the being, which was a little vague because in the beginning, honestly, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, let's expand and see what happens. And then like, you know, now I would kind of like be aware more of what was going on there. But the willingness to have that exploration, it was like, we are capable of doing things that we don't know. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible for me to see that if we tap into that, like such different results start showing up.
Oh, wow. Now, how about you, Christine? Like, what has your experience been like working with children and kids?
Well, what I've seen is that, like Asa said, there's so many structures within the school, and there's some great stuff. There's when my son, who's now 29, was 8, He was in second grade. He got diagnosed with ADD and he couldn't read very well. And there was this wonderful teacher who had been a teacher of the deaf. And she used this program, this computer program, and it was about distinguishing sounds. And what they found with research was that kids that have difficulty reading have difficulty distinguishing sounds. So this really was not a traditional reading program, but it was, he had headphones on and he had to distinguish between these different sounds like ba and da. And this was an 8-week program. And at the end of 8 weeks, he could read. I mean, he never had difficulty reading again. So there are some wonderful programs, and she was, outside the box. And there's other reading programs that work really well for some kids, but what else is beyond that? What else, if we're in the question, what else we could be aware of that would contribute to someone that's having difficulty with whether it's reading or writing or math? And there's so many projections and decisions and judgments about our performance, or, like I tutored a lot of kids with math, and they came in with so many decisions about their capacity with math. I'm no good. I'm not good at math, finally. And then their parents, I would talk to their parents, and their parents would say, oh, I was never good with math. So now there's this whole line of projections and expectations that don't allow the kid to be successful, or even the parent to be successful, and block out all their, possibilities with math and bookkeeping and whatever. We all have to use math in our life. So I saw these amazing changes in kids when we started getting rid of that, like having them look at, well, what if there could be something different? What if you're not really bad at math? What if you can do this way easier? Or what if you do it in a different way? Because there are some kids that they have the answer to the math problem, but then their teacher says, you have to show the work. And they don't know how to show the work. They just have the answer.
Oh, so, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. And if you teach them to work backwards, then they can have their answer that they know and do what they have to do for this reality's way of schooling.
Oh, wow. That's really amazing. That's opening up so much for me as well. Wow. Can adults take it too? I take it too.
And by the way, I don't think we mentioned the title of the class is called Mastering the Game Called School. And we have 4 sessions. One is reading, one is about having ease with math, one is having ease with writing, and one is for test taking. Because I mean, my partner just took a test for getting a real estate license. And I mean, I could sense all the things coming back from when he was in school. And so, we adults often have take a test or have something that we have to do that might not be something we regularly do anymore, but it brings up all of this stuff from.
Oh my God, that's a great topic. By the way, please send me the link to your class. I'll post it underneath this video. But like tests and like performance, those like important dates used to bring up so much anxiety and stress in me. And I'm sure there are so many other people who deal with this as well. So how could your class contribute to people who deal with something like this?
Yeah, I love just what Christine said also about the ripple effect, like a child will say like, oh, I'm not good at math, but my mom wasn't either. Like, what can we start opening up that will create a different ripple effect in the not having a point of view about all these things and starting to actually see like, wow, what is my way of taking tests? Like what will work for me? Because like, I remember for me, like often I don't have to prepare a lot and I know exactly what to prepare. But before I started doing these kind of like classes with Access and stuff, I would literally think I wasn't preparing enough, but I would always pass. And rather than looking at, wow, apparently I actually knew what to prepare and then moving on and doing it quick, I went into the wrongness. And so what is your way of preparing, no matter if it's a speech or an exam? And so where have you been already doing that and choosing that, but it wasn't as it's supposed to be? And so I'm really excited about these calls because I get it's going to be more of an exploration of different possibilities than a regular teaching class.
Amazing. Wow. The energy is so incredible. What are the dates?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I'm
January
going to check.
27th is when the first one. It's on a Wednesday, and then we have 4 Wednesdays or 3 more Wednesdays following that date, ending on February 10th.
So these are just for children or children and parents or anyone?
Anyone can join. We also have a lot of translation possibilities available for this call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Phew. I think I'll be taking this class.
Yeah.
We made it also pretty accessible, like monetary wise for everyone. There is country pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, wow. I mean, I wonder what it would take for school systems to adopt some of these things that, you guys could offer. My husband is a middle school teacher, and, I share with him some of the access tools, and he finds them fascinating and interesting. And he started using some of the questions and tools. And it's so amazing how, and I think like things like that just come out of his mouth in his classes naturally. And he said that some of the children responded to him and started saying, "What else is possible?" like that. I was like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!"
My teaching, I was a teacher for 32 years, and probably about 20 years or a little bit over 20 years is when I found the access tools. And when I started using the tools, everything changed. My whole day, the energy of my day, that not needing to be right. Because as teachers, we think we have to have the answers, and we think we have to be right, or at least I did. And the other thing was I had to be in control. And when I let go of all that crap, oh my gosh, my job was more fun. My classes were more fun. And there was so much more ease. And then I would have these conversations with other teachers too that just showed up. And it wasn't even like I was the one initiating them, but there was this difference in energy. And especially the special ed teachers would always come to me in my department. I was a physical education teacher, and they perceived the difference in energy in me. And the different energy I was in other teachers too. And it just opened up so many doors and so much more ease for everybody.
Wow. Well, that's whole another thing. Like, cause like I didn't think of teachers. Actually, teachers could, receive the benefit contribution from class like this.
Wow. Yeah. If you get how much energy it often costs, like, having kids in your school group that are different, and you're not really having tools to work with them, that can drain a lot of energy. But like there is usually something you'll know, because otherwise they wouldn't be sitting there. And I think that's one of the great gifts of access, is that it will start giving you access to everything you have available, which has not been unlocked yet.
Yeah. I mean, what if like more teachers or more, leaders or seminar leaders or leaders period could use more of these tools? And, I mean, I could definitely see the contribution to their audience, to their students and children, but also for them, like the ease that these tools could provide. Wow, this is like really, really mind-boggling. And what I just got aware of was, oh my God, I lost it.
Well, I was a phys ed teacher, and then while I was still doing that, I opened a tutoring center. It was through Access Consciousness, and so I was tutoring math, algebra and geometry, things I hadn't done in many, many years, and teaching writing, helping kids with their writing and all their subjects. So, when I chose to do this, after I actually created, I was like, what have I gotten myself into? because I did have a lot of points of views before Access about my abilities and what I knew. I mean, there is definitely a stereotype about physical education teachers, not being the smartest people, which,
But very hot.
But, and then, what did you say, Yaso?
But very hot. Sorry.
Yes. Yes. So I did open up these capacities. It was the first student I got was an algebra student. So I started accessing all of that information that I knew, because I had it all, right? I mean, I took algebra in school, and it all, you get to have access to all of that. And if you're open to it, if you ask questions, it's magic. It really is magical the way it shows up. The things that I tutored, I mean, I still look back and say, wow, that was pretty cool that I was able to do that. And to change, allow kids to change their lives, especially the way they looked at themselves. And when they look at themselves differently, they perform differently.
Wow. And also, I think too, that's so amazing, Christine, you just talked about that, wow, I'm so glad that I invited you to come on here and talk about it. And it's actually providing so much more than I ever thought was possible. Like even for me, or I don't know, like the things that we could offer to the world, like what contribution we be and stuff. And like when we don't judge children or anyone, no matter how they are inept or not that great with their grades and stuff like that, like children know when teachers judge them or not judge them. You know what I mean? So they may look at the teachers or their parents differently, and the way they connect with them will be totally different because they don't perceive judgment, but just like space.
I love what you say, and yes, they will perceive if there is no judgment or there is judgment. But they will not usually not have clarity if that the judgment is not projected on them. And that has been one of the great values for me as a teacher, to start looking also like, where am I doing judgment? Like even towards myself, because I started noticing they are so extremely aware of that energy. And it's not important for them if it's towards them or towards yourself. And once I started getting that, I was like, wow, what will it really take to be that space of kindness also towards myself as a teacher, or as somebody that actually educates children in whatever way, because if that energy is somewhere in your universe, they will pick it up and they will very often take it personally and think something is wrong with them.
Wow. Amazing. That's really cool. Yeah.
So I mentioned XMen earlier. Could you just talk a little bit about what an XMen is for people that have never heard that term?
Yeah, XMen it's not a label, first of all, because a lot of people now start using that as a label, but it's more like of a way that Gary has been talking about all these people on the planet that have all these kind of abilities that don't match this reality. And so if something doesn't match what we know, we often tend to think something is wrong. Like, for example, if you have extreme abilities with your body to move a lot and you have a lot of energy, if you do that in a place where you're supposed to sit quiet, now you have a problem, which is usually labeled as ADHD. And so rather than looking at, okay, how can you use that ability that you have, how does it show up for you? What can you create with that? We will usually go into like, oh my God, this is a problem that we now need to handle. And so there are many, many labels, many ways that we often create sickness in our bodies, that if we start to ask like, okay, is this really like a sickness or a disability, or is it actually a capacity? What if we actually get to like, oh, it's a capacity. Now, what do I do with this? How do I create with that? And so XMen is this invitation for you to start looking at what if your difference and maybe something you've defined as really wrong is actually something that's a strongness and a capacity, and you'd be willing to actually start to see what you can create with that.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was amazed of with the in the school when I was still there was how willing children are to actually fight for a different future. Like I've seen kids nearly dying, failing, getting stumped out of institutions while everybody was actually pointing at them saying they were wrong. And what I actually started looking at was, wow, are they really wrong, or are they here to create a different future, and are they willing to be stronger than we have been before, and are they actually there to not give up, even if that means that they actually need to die or do any other extreme or less extreme way of actually bringing change into society. And so I'm really grateful for these classes also and tools, because it gives this space where we can all start to expand on the greatness that we are. Because like I'm from the 80s, and like, you know, I
You're
think
an 80s child?
an 80s child, yeah. And like, you know, everything, like I think it's like around 2000 that basically all the labels really came in. I think all the ones before the year 2000, like if you're like before 95, basically I think most of us have managed, if you weren't like kind of not too extremely behaving, you actually managed to get out without a label. But still, like, how much of our capacities and energy have we been suppressing to fit in?
Oh my goodness, totally.
So XMen is this extreme, like half day, 1 day, 2 day. There's also like other classes that have been created to start to create actually something different with your abilities and capacities.
Yeah.
On the
And just
planet.
people just being okay, being different. You know, like how, as you said, like how many people try to fit in, or try to look like someone else or act like someone else because that's what's expected, or they think that that's expected or that's allowed or whatever, right? Like, so what if like everybody, all the children or everyone on this planet could have more freedom to be themselves and no one would bully them just because they're different?
Yeah.
Bam!
Bam! Oh, thank you so much for inviting us.
Huh?
What a great way to finish our chat here.
Yeah, Joey Bomb, bam! Well, I'm so excited for you ladies, and this is so amazing. I really acknowledge you for, you know, who you are being and the great work that you offer to this planet. How does it get any better? This is when I go, how does it get any better? You know?
How does it?
So thank you, and I'll post the link to your class underneath the video later. And it's so nice to having you here. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Bye, bye, ladies. Have a great day.
Bye.